Hello everyone, my name is the Wolf of Lego and welcome back to my channel. I finally have made some minifigures and I'm finally doing a video. I know it's almost been 3 months, but here we go! Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I've made, I was about to say 5, but there's 6 because there's a tiny little guy up there that I made. But yeah, so I've made 6 figures from the film. I would have liked to make Ego, Mantis, and Nebula, just never got around to doing it and probably won't anytime soon. So hopefully you guys can understand that. I've just been working on these guys so long that I don't want to work on any more Guardians figures. I want to kind of do some other projects. So I got StarLord here, we got Rocket, we got Gamora, Drax, Yondu Udanta, and Baby Groot. They all took a lot of time to make. I've been working on these guys for the last about 3 months of on and off work on these figures. I've had some stuff happen that's just kind of delayed these figures from getting done. And overall, I am happy with them, some more than others, and we'll get into all that when I go into a close-up on them. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into this video. So our first minifigure here is StarLord. Now, StarLord was the second figure I finished, and he turned out really nice. I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. I do like the new outfit they made for him, especially the jacket. I do prefer the trench coat, though, and sadly he doesn't have his little boot rockets anymore, but you know, what you going to do about that. So I guess we'll go over his accessories real quick. So I just took Lego's molds that they made for StarLord's pistols, and what I did, let me zoom in here for you guys. So what I did here is I cut the gap out in between the pistols and sanded that down because there is not supposed to be a gap there. I filled in the little areas up here with Procreate to make those little like cells up there, the little gold pieces with the silver in them. Painted them up in my own kind of metallic gray and add some silver and some highlights. I added the end of the barrels. You can see the orange that is for the kill shots, and then the blue down below that's for like a taser shot. I painted the ammo cells in the back here, the little silver caps, because in the movie you actually see him reload by pulling those out, so I didn't know that until the movie came out. But they're both identical on both sides. I made them as similar as possible, and I'm really happy with how they turned out, especially with the black outline and everything, and they turned out really cool. So let me take those out of his hands real quick, see if we can look at the rest of the minifigure without those blocking our way. Make sure the jacket doesn't get pulled down there. So we'll go over his helmet real quick, so let me move the camera up. The helmet is Lego's standard helmet that I actually really don't like. After I grabbed it to start using it for my figure, I noticed how big it is. It's just really, it's big. Like, it's like in the movie, it's just supposed to be kind of like a mask, and they make it like a full-on, like, just massive. So what I wanted to do was make the helmet a bit more accurate. So the face is really stretched out. It should be really like tucked in on the helmet. So I did my best by using Lego's helmet, what I had. When I do want to make figures from the first film. I'm thinking about sculpting my own helmet, try to make it accurate, because I just really don't like this helmet after working with it. I'm not happy with, we'll go over the back real quick, but I'm not happy with how these lines turned out. You can see some are a bit thicker than the others, but you know, it's the back of the helmet, so you're not going to see it too much. There's a bit of gold on the bottom there going around the back side, but what I did is I took some Procreate and I cut out with a fabric puncher. I cut out some eyes and glued those on there. And what I did is, you can see I added some like orange rings and made some glossy red lenses. I extended the mouth breather. I made the bottom here by the tubes 3D. You can see it sticks out a bit by sculpting onto there. Painted around there. Added all those details. You see the gold and the black outlining and the gunmetal with the kind of like a I mixed like silver and dark gray together to kind of give it more of a shiny texture. As you can see, I didn't want it to look like flat in a way. So the hair, I took like a dark tan and I dry brushed it with a lighter brown. I like how that turned out. It made a nice kind of like reddish ginger hair that, you know, I can't think of his name, Chris Pratt has. So I did make a second head for him. So underneath is just a blank head because I didn't want to mess up the face I made, because I did actually make a head, and I prefer him with this head because I just don't like how the helmet looks after going over it. But I made this head for him. So what I did is I took the Lego StarLord head and I erased the like the stubble going up the sides, raced around the mouth, and made my own mouth because I didn't really like how they made him smile. I made my own smile. I had his mustache and everything, his little sideburns. Took the new Superman hairpiece and sanded the sides down a bit, and did the same thing I did for the helmet by adding some like a dark tan and then adding like a light brown over it. And I really like how it turned out because I think it captures his hair color pretty well. Alright, moving on to the torso and the jacket. The jacket is made out of a Cape Madness trench coat, like I usually do. I cut that to size, modified that quite a bit. As you can see on the side here, there's a piece of E-tape glued on there, and a piece of E-tape up there to act as some 3D elements to the jacket. There's various lines and the detail on there. It does wrap around underneath the arms as well, down below. So I think that all turned out really nice. The arms of the minifigure are pretty simple. I got various different lines and whatnot. Let me zoom in so you can see that a little better. You can see got all the lines and there's some buckles on the back. The arms are about the same except for the top part of them. On this one you can see I did sculpt on kind of the shoulder pad that he is on his jacket. So I really like how that turned out. So the the torso of the minifigure, I painted on all that, his t-shirt, all the words and letters and all that stuff. So that turned out really nice. I'm really happy with how this turned out. That took a long time to make. Well, this took a long time to make anyway. And it turned out really clean, really nice. I'm pretty happy with it. You got all the little atoms up there and the wrinkles in the shirt and everything like that. The back is plain because the jacket's going to be covering it. So if we move on to the legs real quick, you can see that the legs turned out really nice. I'm really happy with how these turned out. They were painted in a dark brown. You can see the boots down there with the buckles and straps. I know the straps and the buckles are supposed to be 3 of them, but I was only able to fit on 2, so that's why it's a bit smaller on the side there. We got the holsters for his guns painted on there and sculpted with some Procreate. The buckle is also sculpted out of Procreate to give kind of a nice 3D effect. And the boot design does wrap around onto the inside of the legs. So as you can see right there, it does wrap all the way around. Pretty happy with how they turned out. Legs are pretty simple, but they were fun to make. And yeah, so let me snap him back together real quick. So yeah, that's about it for StarLord. Really like how he turned out. Here's a nice little 360 for you. Get a nice look at him. So I prefer him without his helmet just because, like I said earlier, just not a fan of Lego's helmet. I think it's a little too bulky, and when I eventually make them from the first film, I will try to sculpt one of these, so that should be fun. But yeah, so that's about it for Peter Quill, so let's move on to our next figure. Moving right along, we have Drax. So Drax was the first figure I finished, and he turned out really nice. I was really happy with the end result. So I guess we'll go over his accessories real quick. So his accessories are just some custom-made knives. So these knives, I tried my best to replicate Drax's knives that he has in the film. And what I did is I took just some Brick Arms combat knives, sanded them, and I sculpted onto them with Procreate, and tried to replicate his knives to the best of my abilities. I'm sure there's easier ways or better ways to make these things, but this is what I ended up doing, and I'm pretty happy with them. I think they turned out nice in the end, and they do suit him pretty well. So let me get those out of the way real quick so we can look at the rest of the minifigure. Sorry, I kind of moved the stand a little bit there. So what I did is I took Lego's official Drax and I weaved around all the tattoos. So as you can see, it was tedious, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I made my own dark gray and just went around all the tattoos. So all the red you see is Lego's official printing. That looks really nice, and I do like the fact that they have like the Lego skulls and everything. So it's a nice looking design, and Lego's brand new head as well. So they made a new head that's a bit more accurate to Drax's, well, the tattoos anyway, because the first one wasn't. And I do like the fact that it is a more aggressive facial expression. So as you can see, I weaved around all the tattoos. Now what I did for the face is all I did, especially to the mouth anyway, is I kind of put a gap in between to make him look like he's actually yelling, because Lego's official one just kind of him gritting his teeth. So I decided to do that, to change that a bit. There's a little bit of dust falling on him. So yeah, so the torso and the head, pretty simple. It's just Lego's figure that I repainted. The legs are my own, so let's move on to those because, like I said, it's pretty simple to understand the torso and the legs, and I mean the torso and all that. So Alright, so the legs. Let's move on to that, because I'm starting to stumble over words. But, so the legs were fun to make. I really like how these turned out. I like the fact that he has blue pants, because I just think it matches the dark gray very nicely. So the belt buckle and the kind of like additional designs on his belt, those are all pieces of E-tape that are glued onto the belt and painted up to be as accurate as I could make them. So the front of the legs, as you can see there, I have all the detail on there in the black, dark gray, and lighter gray colors. I decided to go with some light gray colors because I thought it would look nice, detailing everything with the dark gray as well. So I really like how that looks, and it is outlined, so you know, and it's not too close to the body that it looks like it's an extension of his skin. I was worried that would come across, but looking at it, it doesn't look like that at all. You guys can picture it in your mind and easily notice that it's not like that. So the boots turned out really nice as well. Painted all those and all that detail down below. I added his little knife sheaths on the side. Those are sculpted out of Procreate. They're on both sides with these straps continuing around them. I do have the detail continuing on to the inside of the legs. Let me open that up. Focus. There we go. See the straps continue onto the inside as they do on the outside. So I really quick put Drax back together, and yeah, he turned out really nice. I'm pretty happy with how he turned out, so let me know what you think of Drax in the comments down below. Alright, so our next figure here is Gamora in her jacket outfit that she wears in the movie for like 3 scenes. She didn't wear this outfit that long, but it is probably my favorite out of her outfits in the new films. No, in the new movie, sorry. Yeah, so Gamora turned out pretty nice. I'm really happy with how she turned out in the end. So we'll go over her accessory real quick. So I made her sword here, her collapsible sword. Granted, it can't collapse in this form. So what I did is I took a standard Lego sword, like one of those knight swords, and I sculpted onto the blade. I know it's a bit thick. You know, it's not really as like skinny as it should be, but it's the best I could do. So I sculpted onto it to give it that, before I could actually paint onto it, because I tried painting onto just the blade and it wasn't really working. So I sculpted onto it, and I also took a little side piece from a sai and glued that on and sculpted, not sculpted, but painted onto it. And I think it turned out really nice. I like the sword. I think it could be skinnier, but overall it works. So let me get that out of the way so we can look at the rest of the minifigure. So we'll go over her head first because, you know, go top down. So on the camera here, the hair seems to be like coming out as like a really like brownish red for some reason. I don't know if you guys see that, but in person it is more of a like a light, like a dark and light red mix. But on camera here it seems to be coming out kind of weird. I don't know why, but yeah, hopefully that doesn't look that as bad as I think it does. But yeah, so this is just you've seen this hairpiece before. I don't know what it originally came from, but I just painted it in black and added the red to the bottom of it. Now, I would have liked to use a different hairpiece, but this is what I got. So the head is just Lego's new head for Gamora. As you can see, I like this one a lot more because it does have more of the silver detailing in like better detail anyway. So her alternative head, I prefer this one just because this just looks a little too aggressive in my opinion. So I prefer to pose her with this head. I just saw it in the beginning of the video. I should have them all be aggressive because Drax looks so aggressive. So the head, I didn't do anything to it. I just painted the hairpiece because, you know, Lego's head, they did a pretty nice job of printing it. So I guess we'll move down to the torso and the jacket and all that. So the jacket is a Cape Madness trench coat that I cut up and modified. So yeah, well, you could, okay, real quick. We'll go over the arms and then I'll take the jacket off where we can look at it a little better. So the arms are painted in some different shades of brown with, here, let me stick this on because it just looks a little weird. So the arms are painted in different shades of brown, as you can see, and we got the flesh exposed up there towards the elbows. Then we have these wrist gauntlets painted on there in black, and I sculpted around the wrists to kind of give kind of like a tiny tactical glove top type of look, because I would have used tiny tactical glove tops, but they are super expensive, so it just makes more sense to sculpt them because you're going to save money, because they're like, what, $250 for just 2 of them. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so the arms are pretty much the same. It's just the gauntlets that are a little different. Some different, like the buttons are in different spots, and there's more buttons and like bigger pieces of silver. And yeah, so let me take off the jacket so we can take a look at that a little better and look at the torso a bit better as well. So like I said, this is a Cape Madness trench coat, like I usually use. So what I did is I cut it into this shape for the most part. Just for this is cut down so the hair does not curl the fabric and all that. So what I did is I curled these pieces here and glued those to the side, added on those buckles, and then if I can turn around here, you can see, get them in the frame, I painted on the lighter brown design with the dark brown design, the black lines you can see traced all the way around. I like how it turned out. It turned out really nice in my opinion. So the torso is the Aerialite curved torso. I want to stop using these because they are also super expensive, and if you just sand a normal Lego torso, you can get a nice curve without getting past the plastic. So I want to use these up before I start doing that. So this is just an Aerialite curved torso with the design painted on there. Turned out really clean. Took a couple attempts to get that right, but I am really happy with how it turned out. The back is blank because there will be a jacket on there most of the time. So the legs of the figure. These were fun to make. I had fun. By that I mean the boots were super annoying to make, but the belt here was fun to make. So as you can see, I sculpted on with Procreate those little buckles and painted on the details. And this is a piece of E-tape going around, glued onto the side of her leg. And then we have her little sword sheath. I actually made that. Granted, the sword cannot fit in there, but it is nice to have it there. So you can pretend that she had it there. So down below you can see there is another strap going across. Down there, painted in a glossy black, or is it painted in a glossy black? It is painted in a glossy black. I couldn't see it from here. So they are painted in a glossy black, and as you can see, I added silver detailing around them. And the sides of the boots don't have much going on. The insides do have a little bit more going on in there. As you can see, they have some different designs going on. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the legs turned out. They took a while to make. Mainly her torso and her legs I had to redo a bunch of times to get that just right. So let me snap her back together real quick. So yeah, that's about it for Gamora. She turned out really nice in the end. I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. Granted, the hair, hopefully that doesn't look as bad as I think it does. But yeah, that's about it for Gamora. Okay, so our next minifigure is Rocket. So Rocket Raccoon was a lot of fun to make. We'll go over his accessories real quick. So I made Rocket's pistols. These were pretty fun to make. So I made this one by using minifigure hands. So more or less I cut the hands off and used the part of the hand that goes into the wrist part of the hand. So I used the wrist of a minifigure hand to make this pistol. Let me take it off. I can show you a little better. So I used wrist of minifigure hands to make the barrels on the gun anyway. And then this is just I think it's a Luger. I'm not for sure. That I cut the barrel off and sculpted onto the end to make to make the pistol with 3 barrels. So the other pistol is made of a spy pistol, I believe. I think that's what it is. So I cut off the bottom of the stock that had like a little extended stock on the grip. I cut the scope and put the one end on the other. Cut off the barrel a bit, and I added on this little bit here, glued that on, and sculpted it and all that. So overall, really like how these turned out. They're pretty accurate to how they are in the movie. The barrels, I think on this one could have been a little better. I think they're a little lopsided. Can't really tell though after painting it up. But when they weren't painted, it looked a little off. Probably see it somewhere. But so the head was interesting to do. So what I wanted to do with Rocket is make my Rocket Raccoon a lot different. So what I did is, well, I sculpted on somewhat of a chin, as you can see on the figure, and then I painted on teeth. So the teeth were very tedious to do. That took a long time, and yeah, I think they turned out okay. I don't like how it looks in the front when he's staring right at you. It looks really weird. But from the side views, it looks really good. I'm really happy with how it turned out. So the nose is also sculpted. I made a nose based off Duke's nose, actually. I was looking at Duke and I was just like, stand still. And he looked at me and I kind of did it real quick. And I like how it looks. So you can see the nose is a bit extended and it actually has nostrils and everything. So really happy with that. Okay, so the rest of the figure I repainted the white around his eyes and everything. As you can see, if you compare it to one of Lego's figures, I don't have one of Lego's figures on hand. It is drastically different, more accurate to how it looks in the movie, and painted around the eyes and all that, and repainted the entirety of the head in brown, and redid the white, because Lego's white is pretty, well, the printing of the white was not really good looking, so I redid it in my own like glossy white. I really like how it looks. So the shoulder pads, these little shoulder pads on the figure, I sanded those down because in the movie they are flat, they aren't bulked up like how Lego has them for some reason. I think it's based off the first one more, because I think those were a bit bulked up. But as you can see, I sanded those down, sculpted the edges to make them a little more flattened out, and then made them flatter. And in the back, you can see I took a little, I think that's from my antenna piece. I chopped off the piece to glue it on there and put on the little kind of like, I don't know what you call that, little backpack thing that he has. So yeah. Okay, so moving on from the head, as you can see down below on the torso, I got all these 3D straps painted on, the buckles and little pockets and whatnot. Really like how that turned out. Turned out nice. I think it's a little bland looking. Something about it just throws me off. I look at it and I just think, yeah, it just could have been a little better. It looks really flat. I don't know why. It's just probably it's the part of the figure I don't like the most. Well, that's how he looks when you have him facing forward. But yeah, so the tail is actually magnetized. I took the Lego's tail, drilled a hole in it, and as you can see, I put a magnet in the back. You can kind of see it sticking out there. And more or less, this allows me to pose Rocket in different ways. I can have his tail sticking up, I can have it to the side, or how I like to have it, in the downwards position off to the left of the figure. Let's move on to the legs real quick without going too past my stand. You guys can kind of see the legs a little bit better. So I painted the legs on with the knee pads and all that, and all the different black details. The strap here, well, his belt is made of E-tape, and then the little pouches are made out of Procreate and painted up in the accurate colors and all that. So overall, Rocket turned out okay. Like I said, he's not my favorite figure I've made out of this group, but he did turn out decent. But overall, with how he looks, I like it, and it turned out really nice in the end. So our last minifigure in the video is Yondu Danta. So Yondu was the second to last figure I finished, and he turned out really nice. I'm really happy with how he turned out in the end. So we will start with his accessory here. So we have his arrow, his flying arrow. And so I made this out of a Lego antenna piece, and I took a normal Lego like rod piece, drilled a hole into it, and then inserted the rod into the hole for Yondu can grip it, because the area down here is a bit thicker. It has more detail going on there. So let me take it out of his hand real quick so I can show you what I mean. So I took just a normal gold rod. As you see, the paint will chip off now and then. Well, it chips off here. I didn't paint it on there where he's gripping, but the rest of it I did to make it look like Yondu's arrow. I like it a lot. I think it turned out nice. I got the idea from Legomatic 9 or Aaron's Yondu that he made in 2014, so inspiration for that goes to him. I will leave a link to his channel in the description down below. You should definitely check out the stuff he makes. He makes some pretty cool things. So yeah, as I said that way too fast. But so Yondu. Yondu was a lot of fun. A lot of time spent on this guy, and just recently finished him. So yeah, so we'll go over his head real quick as I zoom in on here. So I used Lego's official fin piece they made. Really accurate, pretty nice. But what I did is I sanded away the sides of the stud on top of his head, and then put it on there and sculpted with Procreate the rest of the fin that wasn't there. So as you can see, it does have siding to it now, and looks a little more accurate. There is some light red highlights, just a couple of them, and it's light red on the front of the figure, on the front of the fin anyway. Now granted, I rewatched the movie recently, my sister hadn't seen it, so we saw it again, and actually all these little lines glow when he's using the arrow, so ideally you'd want all those to be like light red highlights, but what am I going to do about it? Nothing at this point. So the head of Yondu is Lego's official head, but what I decided to do is I painted teeth, because the smile just wasn't working for me. So what I did is I individually painted some teeth on there, gave him his little beard down below. I know some people are going to be like, why is the arms brown and the jacket red, and then down below red, and all that stuff. So let me explain. So if you watch in the movies and look at the actual outfit, the jacket is more like a vest. You can see some behind-the-scene footage of the first one, Michael Rooker taking off the trench coat, and you can see that the sleeves are still the same. So more or less, it is like a trench coat jacket. That makes sense. So it is accurate to any of you who think it's inaccurate. And I wanted to do that because I liked the red and the brown, and I wanted it to be accurate. So that's why I decided to do that. I know it looks a little off, especially if you're looking at it from like the side or like the back, but from the front it doesn't look that bad in my opinion because you can see the torso underneath. So the trench coat itself is made out of a Cape Madness trench coat. Oh, who would have guessed? And took a lot of time to make this because there was a lot of detail involved, a lot of different painting and lines, and to make it all accurate. So let's zoom in here, enhance the footage, and go to the arms. So the arms, as you can see up there, I did sculpt on that little like flap that sticks over on the shoulder there, and then you can see the different details wrapping around. The arms are pretty simple. Then on this side we have this little knife sculpted on there with Procreate, a little strap up above, and some E-tape straps going across. Pretty simple. Pretty easy to do. And then the back of the jacket has a lot of detail going on, especially up there, the little triangle designs. That took a while to do. And then we have, the straps and all that stuff, so that turned out nice. Then on the this side of the torso, we have the Ravager Flames. That's made out of Procreate and painted on there. Really like how that looks because it sticks out and looks really nice. Then we have a little pocket sticking up there made out of E-tape, and the rest of the designs going down. I kind of cut the jacket at the bottom to make it a little more jagged looking. And then on the other side, we have his little, like, I don't know what you call these, little, like, arrows people say. They don't look like, well, they do look like arrows. I don't know what they're for. You'd think the Ravengers, when they lock them up, would take those off because you could probably stab someone with them, but, Marvel wasn't violent that way. But I painted on the little, like, I guess it's like a strap that's on there. And I painted that on, I glued these on. These are made out of Procreate. And then down below we have the little buckle that's made out of fabric and different designs going on the side. And let's of his arm here so you can see that a little better. And all that painted on there. And yeah, a lot of fun involved making that jacket. Then we have the cuffs up here, as you can see, painted in a dark tan with some light brown edges. So we will take a look at the torso. You can see the torso pretty well from here at this point. Let me open it up a bit. Maybe I don't have to take this off. Yeah, you guys can see in there. So more or less what I decided to do is I decided to actually sculpt a 3D torso because I thought it would look nice. And it turned out being pretty time consuming, but overall it was a lot of fun. So as you can see, we have the scarf up there painted on, and the the cuffs and the buttons and all that stuff, and the straps, and I used some bread tie wire to make the little buckles and everything. That turned out really nice. The inside of the jacket is purple, by the way. That is also accurate. So then the belt down below, as you can see, that is 3D. That was sculpted on with Procreate. And then we can see on the legs down here, those are red. Now I don't believe they're actually supposed to be red, the inside of his legs, but I decided to make them red because I thought it would look nice with the different color variations. So I think it looks nice. So then you can see the boots, pretty simple, and the designs do continue on to the inside. If I can open those up real quick, you can see that they do wrap around a bit. But overall, I think it turned out really nice, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. So let me know what you think of Yondu. I spent a lot of time on him. Alright, so our last figure, if you would call this a figure, is Baby Groot. So Baby Groot, oh gosh. Alright, so this was interesting. This is something I'd never thought I would ever do, but I did it, and it was time consuming as all hell. This is the last guy I finished for this video, or this group of figures anyway, and that's Baby Groot here. So Baby Groot is a tiny minifigure, and by that, he is actually like a minifigure in the sense that, well, he's made up of magnets. So turn his head. You can lift his arm. You can make him kick if you want to. And you can make him do all sorts of neat poses. Because that's the power of magnets. So I had a lot of fun making this little guy. It was a little annoying because I had dropped him a couple times into my rug and had to search with another magnet to pick him up. And yeah, it's pretty simple. You can understand what's going on here. So what I did is I took Procreate and I sculpted a torso. I took a Lego antenna piece and cut off the part here to round it, and that is the only bit of Lego that's on this figure, is the crotch area. That is a actual Lego antenna piece because it was nice and round, and the rest of it is sculpted out of Procreate with magnets and using wire to kind of give the shape of the arms, well, to keep the shape of a Lego arm. This one's a little bit better, that one's a little more straight, but who cares? This is some of the smallest work I've ever done, and I'm really happy with it, and especially the fact that you can pose him, you can turn his head, you can, all that stuff. You can make him sit, you can make him, do all that cool stuff. All those neat poses and whatnot. And that's something you can't, you don't get to do all the time. Really happy with Groot, and I made him a little magnet stand because he can stand on his own without without the use of the stand. But I wanted to give him somewhat of a stand, so he's not going to be lost anytime soon. But yeah, that's about it for Baby Groot. Really, really interesting to make something like this, and let me know what you think of him in the comments down below. So that's about it, guys. My next Lego project will be for Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my favorite films. I'll be making quite a few customs from that, so expect that when I get around to it. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Not much else to say. Hopefully we'll get those videos up in a timely fashion, and hopefully this video is tolerable and I don't have to edit it really quick. If there's a lot of jump cuts, my apologies. I wanted to get this video done as quick as I could. I gotta work, so I'm kind of working on a tight little time frame. So I'm trying to get this video done, and so I can, well, all this recording done so I can edit it and then post it. So hopefully you guys are watching this on Sunday or Monday, one or the other. And hope you guys have a nice day. God bless you, people of justice. May the force be with you always, and I will see you guys in the next one.
What's that? He says...